Hi everybody, welcome to the Peacefield Farm YouTube channel. Today I am harvesting some hops. So Linda and I went down to the hop field and cut the vines, brought them up here. And so right now I'm going to tell you a little bit about hops, and you can watch me as I take the hops off the vines and collect them in this bowl here. These are Cascade hops. So far that's what I've collected. I'm not by any means a hop farmer. I make my own beer, and I use some of these hops in some of the beers that I make. Hops are the bittering agent in beer, so they're important. In Germany, they have a law about beer which says that beer can only contain 4 ingredients: water, hops, barley, and yeast. In the United States here, beer has just gone wild lately with so many different varieties and kinds, and so many different flavoring ingredients. So anyway, I'm picking these Cascade hops. Cascade hops. I grow I grow 3 kind of hops. I grow Cascade, Centennials, and Chinook. Chinooks didn't do very well this year, so I'm not even going to bother with them. These are Cascades. Pretty easy to grow and often used hop in beer making. You can see these are called bines here. And the hops, which are these little green cones right here, little green cones, are the hops themselves. So inside these little green cones, if you were to open one up and have a look, hopefully you can see the yellow in there, and that's really the active ingredient of hops. I forget what it's called, but man, they smell good. Anyway, I grow 3 different kind of hops this year. We're harvesting Cascade and Centennial. Centennial is another pretty widely used hop, and when you're using hop in the beer that you make, typically, that one's clean. Typically, you dry them. So the next step for me now is, after I get all these hops picked off of the vines, I will dry them. And I use a food dehydrator to dry them. And then I will weigh them, and then different varieties of beer have different weights of hops that you're supposed to put in them. Based on what kind of taste, what kind of beer that you're trying to make. So, some people use wet hops, and these are considered wet hops right now because they haven't been dried. Some people use wet hops in their brew making, and some people use dry hops. Dry hops are easy to store. Wet hops, you know, I'd have to start up a batch like today or tomorrow with these things in order to get their true hoppy potential out of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do I missed a couple here. I'm going to dry these things, and then I'm going to weigh them up, and then I'm going to store them dry in a Ziploc bag in the freezer until I use them. Like I said, some people use them wet too, but I'm not ready to start up a new batch yet, so I'm going to use them once they're grown. Hops are pretty easy to grow. You buy rhizomes in the spring. I buy my rhizomes from a company called Northern Brewer in St. Paul. We live about 50 miles north of St. Paul. You can order them online, you can pick them up at the store, and the rhizomes they look like roots. And you plant them, and really they don't need a whole lot of care. The first year you might need to water them extra, depending upon the rainfall amount that you're experiencing in your area. But really pretty easy to grow. A little fertilizer wouldn't hurt. Typically, I've got so much going on that I don't fertilize these, but Linda my lovely wife, did fertilize them once this year for me when I was gone. Anyway, you plant them in the ground, and then you have to provide a trellis of some sort for them to grow onto, because they grow tall. My trellises are, I think, about 12 feet tall, and we'll take you down to the hop area here after I get done picking these, and you can have a look at it. But so the challenge then, because they grow so tall, is to figure out how to cut them off of the trellises and still without trying to kill yourself on ladders and stuff. So I think we figured out a pretty good system this year finally to get them down without too much trouble. On the trellises, you have to attach some sort of a rope. And what I did, this is my own idea, I don't think I stole it from anyone on YouTube, but what you do, or what I did rather, is I got some cement blocks, and then I put I filled up one of the holes in the cement block with cement, and before the cement dried, I put an eye bolt in each one. So I've got a place to anchor the rope. So the bottom part of the rope is anchored in my cement block, and the top part of the rope goes up to another eye bolt, which is on the top of the trellis. That system seemed to work pretty good. I had a little trouble because I do most of this stuff by myself, but I had a little trouble getting the trellises into the holes that I dug, and I also had some trouble stringing the rope through the clean. There's some trouble stringing the rope through the eye bolts, but we figured it out this year. I'm a little uncomfortable with heights, so what I was doing was I had a ladder in the back of this pickup right here, and then I could reach the eye bolts on the trellis. But you know, that's definitely not OSHA approved, and I wouldn't recommend doing that to you guys, but that's the way I do it. Anyway, so the hops, so you plant the hops, and within, well, first year you don't get too many, second year is better, third year they're pretty well established. This is my third year now, and actually I got a better crop last year than I did this year, but you know, that's the way farming goes sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't go exactly as you expect, but that's farming. You can see that the vine itself is kind of curly, and it's curly because the hops climb. The hops will climb up around a rope, and they like to climb up. You know, they'll climb between 10 and 15 feet if you give them the opportunity to, and the higher they climb, the more sun the vines get and the more hop cones you're going to get. So it's a preservation thing for them, but they will grow plenty high. You don't have to have a trellis real high. Before I had this trellis, I had one that was not nearly as high. I still had a pretty good hop harvest. You know, not tons and tons of hops or anything like that, but enough to make some beer with, which is really all I ever want. So this is what I have left over after picking the hop cones from the vines. And this is my harvest for this year. The bowl on the right is Cascades. The bowl on the left is Centennial. This is our Chinook hops. Didn't do very well this year, so I chose not to harvest them. There wouldn't be enough here to do anything with anyway. But poor year for the Chinooks. This is a trellis, a hop trellis. It goes up about 12 feet with a big T on top. And you can see the rope lines there where the hops climb up. There's the trellis that had the Cascades. And the hayfield behind. This is the trellis that had the Centennial hops. Pretty much the same thing.